What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to Derek Andre TV. I am Derek Andre, and do you believe in ghosts? Let's totally discuss it. This is Totally Disgusted with your host, Derek Andre. What's going on, folks? This is Totally Disgusted. I'm your host, Derek Andre, and I guess as we approach Halloween, I feel like this will probably be an interesting subject to discuss. Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in ghosts? Do you believe in the afterlife? Do you believe that people, once they pass on, hang around for a little while or for an eternity and just exist, if that's what ghosts actually do? Do you believe that? Well, it says, let me give you a few stats on what people believe across the globe, all right? It says belief in ghosts varies by country, with some recent studies indicating around 30 to 50% of people in the UK and the USA believing in ghosts. More specific data includes approximately 39% of the USA, according to a 2025 Gallup poll, 46% in Canada, according to a 2021 IPSOS or IPSOS poll, and potentially higher percentages for spiritual beliefs in countries like Chile, Thailand, and according to the 2025 Pew Research Center. So Chile, they had about 74% believe, and 73% of the people in Thailand believe. So people believe in ghosts, man. They believe that ghosts exist. What do you think? Do you think that ghosts exist or not? Let me know what you think in the comments. I personally believe that ghosts exist. I believe this because I've actually seen a ghost. Yes, I have. When I was in elementary school, I went to a private school in St. Louis, Missouri called Central Catholic, CCC. And I was probably in about the maybe 5th or 6th grade, maybe 7th grade. I forget what grade I was in, but I was pretty young. Well, I was in the Boy Scouts, and we had our troop meetings on Saturday mornings at the school. All right, so this Saturday morning, my mother drops me off, and the way the schoolyard was set up is from the street, there was a driveway that you walk up, and that driveway takes you into a courtyard, okay? To the left, sorry about that, y'all. To the left, when you get to the top of the driveway, there was the convent. No, that wasn't the convent. That was the school office. And then next to the school office was the church, St. Bridget's Church. And then at an angle to the church was the rectory where the nuns and priests slept. And then along that back wall was the school. All right. So I come in, I'm early, I'm ahead of everybody. There's nobody there but me. And so I walk up and I sit on the bench right in front of the windows where the cafeteria was. Now it's Saturday. Now ain't nobody in school. Ain't nothing going on. So I'm sitting there, just me in the courtyard. I'm minding my own business, just kind of, chilling out until the rest of my troop gets there. And behind me, I hear a knock on the glass. And it kind of startled me. So I jump up and I turn around and I'm looking in the window, and there stands a little boy, really fair-skinned, had big, naturally curly hair, dark black hair, naturally curly. And he had on the school uniform. We wore white button-down shirts and blue pants, or khaki pants, but he had on blue pants. And so he's standing there in the cafeteria on a Saturday morning, and we looking at each other. And this went on for several seconds. And I'm like, how did this kid get in school? And he looked vaguely familiar to me, but I couldn't place his face. But I couldn't figure out how he was at school on a Saturday morning in uniform in the cafeteria. The cafeteria was dark. Nobody in there. And so I hear people coming up behind me. Sounds like the other kids. And, I turn around to look to see who was coming. And when I look back, he was gone. I was like, yo. What did I just experience? He was gone, man. There was no noise, no nothing. And I literally turned to look to see who was coming and looked back, and that little boy was gone. So I didn't really tell anybody about it at the time. I just kind of kept it to myself. Well, later on, I found out that there was this little boy. His sister was actually in my class. Her name was Esther Doss. There was a little boy, which ended up being her brother, that had gotten hit by a car and killed. And that little boy was her brother. He was a couple of grades behind us, so I didn't know his name, which is why his face didn't look familiar. But it looked familiar, but I couldn't put a name with it. And I kept thinking to myself, I know this little guy. That was eerie. I believe that when you leave this place that, because we all know that this is just a vessel. This body that we in is just a vessel. The real you, the energy version of you, the spiritual version of you resides inside this vessel in whatever form it carries, whatever it is. I don't know if it's just energy. I don't know if it's a spirit or a soul. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, it lives inside this vessel. So I believe that when this body uses up its time on earth, the energy that exists in this body, I believe, goes somewhere. It has to go somewhere. I don't think it just ends. There's too much consciousness that exists inside of this vessel that we have the pleasure of utilizing for however many years we have on this planet. You've seen the videos of like little kids. They come back and they have stories of their past lives. Oh, I was this. I remember this place, mommy. And the ladies, the mom be like, how you remember this place? You ain't never been here before. And the baby be like, oh, I remember because and then they go into these stuff. I believe that there is reincarnation, and I believe that there is definitely life after death. I don't believe that you just die and it ends. Now, what happens fully, I have no idea, and neither does anybody else. There's all these speculations and theories, but nobody really knows what happens after you die. But I don't think you just cease to exist. You know, you watch all these movies and stuff like that, all these ghost stories, and, you know, a lot of this stuff, man, don't just, I know people got some good imaginations. I know people have some amazing imaginations, okay? But some of this stuff is rooted in truth. You know, you got a lot of these based on a true story type, you know, movies and stuff that, you know, and when you see it, you're like, oh, okay. But it's different when you experience it for yourself in real life. It's a very, very different experience. Once I saw that young man, and I came to the realization of what I saw and who I saw, any doubt that there was an afterlife that I ever had as I got older, that was just like, oh no. I didn't seen what happened. One night, I'll tell you another little story. This was weird. I don't know that this was a ghost or not, but this was an experience that I shared with someone that I was dating at the time. And this was a very, very peculiar experience. So, used to date this girl named Sabrina. And we lived, she came and she moved in my apartment. We lived in this little garden apartment in Ferguson, Missouri. We lived in Canfield Green, the same apartment community where they did what they did to Mike Brown. So I lived in that apartment community back in the early 90s. All right. And so I had a garden apartment. So a garden apartment, if you're not familiar with what a garden apartment is, in some apartment buildings, there's a second floor, there's a ground level floor where you come in and the apartments are on that level. There's an upper level that, you know, that's the second floor. But then there's this garden apartment that you go down some stairs and you're like on the lower level. So I had this garden apartment. All right. So it was a single bedroom apartment. In the bedroom, there was a window. All right. But in front of my window were shrubs. Okay. You couldn't just, you know, look out my window or look in my window and see what was going on because there were shrubs right there. You couldn't, you know, and I couldn't look out and see anything else. I could hear stuff, and when the sun was shining, you know, it would let in a little bit of light, but not a lot. Okay. So one night, Sabrina and I are in the bed. We sleep. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this extremely bright light wakes us both up. Now, it was weird because it's one thing when you wake up on your own because something peculiar happens. You know, that's one thing. But when that experience is shared with another person at the exact same time and you can't explain it, that's eerie, man. That's creepy. I mean, it was like, you know how in the movies where like if like a spaceship or something come down, you know, and you know you are and you out in the wooded area someplace, you know how they show it, and then there's this big ridiculously bright light, like, you know, just blinding you can't see. That's the kind of light that it was. It was so bright that it made us jump up in the bed. And I was like, what was that? And she was like, I don't know. And I was like, you saw it too? She was like, yeah, it woke me up. I don't know what that was, man. I don't know if one of us got abducted by aliens. I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm not trying not to sound like a crackpot on my own podcast. I don't want to sound like I'm a nut or nothing. But it was wild, man. It was a very, very eerie experience for both of us to experience this extremely bright light that woke us both up at the same time. Listen, man, I don't know what happens after we go on to glory. I don't know. But I do believe that there is life after death. My father passed away in 1975. I was 4 years old. He smoked cigarettes. Every now and then, I smell cigarette smoke. I don't know if that's my daddy or not. I don't smoke. My wife don't smoke. And it'd be at weird times where I shouldn't smell cigarette smoke, but I do. My mother was telling me a story. See, I got all these little stories, man. This stuff just be sticking in my head. So my mother was telling me that when my grandfather passed away, or he was in the process of transitioning. And I've heard others tell similar stories. She said when my grandfather was in the process of transitioning, she was in the hospital room with him. And he kept saying to her, Beverly, who are all of these people in this room with me? And my mom was like, Daddy, ain't nobody in here. And he was like, no, Beverly, who are all of these people? As he was transitioning, he was seeing all of these people and he didn't recognize them. He didn't say, hey, here's your mama or he kept saying, who are all of these? And I've heard other people say as their loved ones was transitioning that they were seeing things. I don't know if that's the mind playing tricks on you as it is beginning to shut down, or if you're actually surrounded by people meeting you as you enter the afterlife. I don't know what that. I'm gonna Google it. Let me Google it. Let's see what Google says. So I'm gonna Google. Let me switch screens so you can see what I'm Googling here. Let me go to browser. And we're going to go to, hold on. We're going to go to browser. That is not what I meant to click. Hold on, y'all. We're going to go to browser. We're going to quit. I don't want to open that. Where is it at? Browser. So we're going to, hold on. Give me a second here, y'all. I'm coming. Browser. Why is my browser? Yeah, but so I do wonder, not so I'm not just sitting here quiet, but I do wonder how many other people experience this phenomenon of seeing people as they are transitioning. So let me switch over here. Let me switch screens. All right, so let's look it up. Let's see. It says, do people who are dying say they, let me see, how do I word this? Do people who are dying say they are Surrounded by other. I mean, that's a terrible search. Hold on. Do people when they're dying are people? Let me see how I'm trying to figure out how to word this. When people die, let me see. When people are, I won't say dying. Let's say transitioning to death. Do they claim to see spirits? Let's see if that's the word. Let's see how that works. Yes. Okay, let's see what it says. It says yes. Many people who are transitioning to death report seeing spirits or visions of deceased loved ones. These experiences These experiences, often described as comforting, can include seeing apparitions of friends, family, or pets who may appear to help guide them. Healthcare professionals recognize these as common end-of-life experiences distinct from drug-induced hallucinations. Seeing deceased loved ones. People often report seeing and sometimes conversing with deceased loved ones, friends and relatives. Spiritual guides. Some see religious figures like angels or saints, while others may see spirit guide or other figures they resonate with. Comfort and reassurance. These visions are frequently described as comforting and are seen as a positive part of the dying process, providing reassurance and a sense of peace. Interactions with spirits. Interactions are not always passive. Some people report the visions are active participants, sometimes saying that they are there to help the person transition. Not drug-induced. Healthcare professionals often distinguish these visions from those caused by medication, delirium, or a lack of oxygen, as the person typically appears clear and lucid during the experience. Interesting. So people see other entities, other people who have transitioned before them, and it is a regular phenomenon. Interesting. So, yeah, man, I'm just curious, man. Have you ever experienced anything similar to that? Have you ever seen what you thought was a ghost? I have a friend of mine. Her name is Renita. We used to work at the Adams Mark Hotel together. It was a 5-star hotel in downtown St. Louis. I was a bellman, and Renita, if I remember correctly, worked in room service. And she says one night, I don't know if it was her that experienced it, and I heard a couple people tell this story that and a couple of different people experienced it. They were in the kitchen area, and at the back of the kitchen was a deep freezer where they kept all the meats and all of that kind of stuff. Before you got into the deep freezer, there was a small office where the room service manager would set up, and that's where their phones and whatever was back in this little office. But you had to pass through this office in order to get into the deep freezer. So Renita was telling me that I believe she experienced this. I could be wrong, but I believe it was her that experienced this. She was in the kitchen, in the kitchen, and a room service attendant walked into the kitchen and spoke, went through the office where the room service manager was sitting, and went into the deep freezer. Well, some time went by, and the person never came out of the deep freezer. So the room service manager opens the freezer and there's nobody in there. And so she goes out and she asked Renita, she was like, Renita, did you see somebody? She was like, yeah, somebody went back. She said, did they come out and I just didn't see them? Renita was like, no, they never came out. And somebody else had that same experience in that same kitchen, in that same deep freezer. Hotels are always said to be haunted. Oh, that's why, hotels are superstitious. Most hotels and most office buildings don't have a 13th floor. It's 13 in chronological order, but it is not marked as the 13th floor, man. But you hear stories about hotels, about office buildings, about people seeing, strange things, hearing strange stuff. I don't know how some security guards do it. If you want them security guards that got to work overnight and you got to protect the building and ain't nobody in that joint but you, and you hear stuff, man, please. I ain't no chump, but I some stuff you just don't, I ain't got to, I'm not going to be in no building by myself and I'm hearing noises and ain't nobody in there but me. Man, y'all better go on. Y'all better leave me alone. Hey, there ain't nothing that's going to keep me in there. And I'm by my... No, man. It was different when I was a kid. That one caught me off guard. The little dude caught me off guard, man. I was chilling. But man, no, buddy. I ain't trying to work in no funeral homes. None of that stuff, man. Nope. Had a friend of mine named Linda. She was my journeyman when I was an apprentice electrician. Linda told me one time she was driving and she was coming through the cemetery because it was like a shortcut to get to wherever she was going. She said she driving and she looks to the right and it's somebody on a bicycle pedaling fast enough to keep up with the car while at the same time staring dead at her. So that means that this entity was on this bicycle pedaling. They rolling. Looking at her, that means that they ain't worried about hitting nothing. She said they did that the entire time until she turned and they just kept going straight. She said that scared the crap out of her. I believe that ghosts exist. I believe it, man. I believe it. I believe that ghosts exist. I really do, man. I really do. I don't think when we leave this joint, I don't think we just get our little grip and we gone. It's over. Nah, I think that there are people that pass on. And, you hear the stories about, a spirit can't rest until the job that it was put on earth to do is complete. You hear those kind of stories, a lot of the movies use that theme of, the person can't die completely until their death was avenged. Like if they were by, some person, that person has to be dealt with before they can rest. So they come and they haunt somebody who they know. Well, I'm trying to think of a movie that had that thing. They come and haunt somebody who they know will get to the bottom of it, solve the mystery, and avenge their death. And then they can rest in peace. So, I believe that, if you don't complete the job that you came here for, you might have to stick around. I also believe that when you die, that you might mess around and have to come back. Just start all over from scratch. I talked about that earlier when, with the babies. Them little kids, they be like 5 or 6, old enough to be able to articulate. They be saying, yeah, I've been here before. Oh, I know this person. Hey, I used to live here, mommy. Hey, daddy, and they be like, there ain't nowhere in the world. You 6. You ain't never been here before, but I think it's possible. I think it's possible. Let me know what y'all think, man. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you believe in ghosts. And if you do believe in ghosts, don't be afraid to talk about it. You ain't alone. There's 8 billion people on this planet. You think you're the only one that has ever had some kind of an experience? The same girl that I was telling you about who shared the experience with the bright light, she said when she was growing up, she said it was something always spooky happening in the house with her. Doors slamming and just all kind of, she was like, and I'm like, why you ain't tell me this before we got involved? I might have thought twice about hooking up with you, and you got all these spiritual connections and all these ghosts, ghouls, and goblins running around you, girl. That I don't know. I would have thought twice about that. But yeah, she said she had all sorts of just different experiences growing up with paranormal activity. I mean, it's a thing. It's a thing because they got whole shows about paranormal activity. You know what I mean? And so it ain't like if you talk about it that you talking about it by yourself. It's a whole genre of TV and movies and all of that kind of stuff that focus on paranormal stuff. People that made full careers out of trying to figure out what happens after you die and about ghosts and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, don't feel ashamed and nervous like, I don't know if I should. Yeah, you all right. You all right. You all right. So let me know in the comments, man. Let me know in the comments if you believe in ghosts, and if you do, don't be afraid to share a story of your experience with seeing a ghost. All right? All right. If this is your first time to my channel, I just want to say thank you for stopping by. I would really appreciate it if you would click the subscribe button and the reminder bell so that you never have to miss another video. That would mean a lot to me. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment. It will help the algorithms show that my channel is a legitimate channel and that other people should watch it as well. If you are a returning guest, I want to say thank you for coming back because you didn't have to. I truly appreciate you taking the time to watch the videos and leaving comments and giving it thumbs up and the like. So I truly appreciate that. Currently, my birthday was the 24th. It was Friday that just passed. I'm officially 55 years old. On my website, DerekAndre.com, I am currently having a sale. If you buy any of my digital products or anything from my apparel line and use the code HAPPY55th, you'll get free shipping on your clothing purchase and 25% off on your digital product purchases. So please, by all means, swing by DerekAndre.com and pick yourself up something nice. I think you'll enjoy it. All right, it's another great way to support the channel. If you love t-shirts as well, and if you can actually, underneath these videos, there are links to my autographs t-shirt shop. You can just click the link, use the code at checkout, and you good to go, man. You good to go. All right. I got another show tomorrow, so I'll be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what the topic will be. Sometimes, I should probably do a little more planning, but sometimes I just kind of get up and be like, you know what? I think I'm going to talk about this today. This is going to be my subject. I still steer away from a lot of the drama. I know that, drama sells, but I don't always want to talk about drama. I always want to talk about regular stuff, that people can relate to. And so I'm still keeping it lighthearted. But tomorrow's show will air live at around the same time. I usually try to start at about between 3:30 and 4 o'clock. So, yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much it, y'all. That's all I got. That's all I got, man. I love y'all, man. Be peace, be love, be one. And I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to hit you with a little dab here. And then we're going to do the promo and then the outro. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.
Well, I done snuck my ass to space with these white folks and they done found me. Kicked me off the ship, but it's cool though. Because while I float around up here in outer space, I look back at Earth and I think to myself, why do people be making a big deal out of nothing? Life is too short, and if you could see the world the way I see it right now, you change how you behave. Oh, there go my Uber. All right, let that out. Ha-ha! See y'all back on Earth.
Thanks for tuning in to Totally Disgusted. Make sure to like, comment, and tell a friend.